It's an awesome day, and we are super, super excited. Guess what? It is the Femi Walsh Prestige Partnership that is being flagged off right here at the Federal Palace Hotel. Oh my God.
That thing sums awesomeness. We're being at a place where every conversation about Nigeria's independence happened, and then also thinking about royalty, you know, things that make us feel like we're kings and queens when they come into this place. I mean, I'm at this point.
You know, talk about the scenery, the ambience, the rooms. This hotel is actually really, really good. And the fact that Femi Walsh is partnering with Federal Palace Hotel doesn't just give me the chills, like it makes me happy. Happy.
We're going to be having exclusive events coverage, and we're going to bring in our expertise to come and give them that edge amongst
that finesse.
Taking the brand globally through our media. My God, it's not something you want to miss out on this journey that I just started. We're going places, sis.
The Federal Palace Hotel was established in 1960 and constructed by the A.G. Leventis Group. Perhaps one of the most notable thoughts about Federal Palace is that it was used as the venue for independence celebration of Nigeria in 1960. Over the years, the Federal Palace has now become a world-class ultra-modern facility with a touch of elegance. The hotel, which has been recognized nationally and internationally, has become a tourist attraction for many. Perhaps this is the reason Femi Walsh Group decided to partner with the Federal Palace by supporting the hotel with resources and equipment for coverage of all the hotel's events. The president and CEO of Femi Walsh Group, Victor Oluwafemi Walsh, accompanied by the vice president, Idahosa Osamanze, paid a visit to the hotel during the exhibition of the popular Iriri Arts Gallery. It was a day of joy for each of the artists to see that the president of Femi Walsh Group was actually fascinated by their art pieces. Coordinator of the Arts Gallery also expressed his enthusiasm and joy, highlighting the exciting prospects and opportunities arising from the partnership.
Thank you so much, SOUQ TV, for coming over. It is about celebrating art and creativity. We themed it Luxury and Legacies exhibition. Luxury, as we all know, art is luxury, and the legacies that are left behind by artists are their crafts. So that is why we themed it Luxuries and Legacies exhibition.
Ambassador Victor Walsh encouraged artists while commending their creativity. The general manager, Herman Britt, was excited that the collaboration between Femi Walsh Group and the Federal Palace Hotel exchanged pleasantries with the president and told Souqnews TV about his joy.
The energy is fantastic, and the support that you've given us is absolutely superb. So, yeah, watch this space, and your support is valued, and I love the partnership that you guys give us. So, looking forward to the journey with you guys.
Other members of the senior management of Federal Palace who were on hand to receive the ambassador and members of the Femi Walsh team include Temitope Ifiodun, HR Manager, Billy Uguechi, Events and Banqueting Manager, Chef Chris Onyanu, the Executive Chef of Federal Palace, Oluwatoyin Sulaiman, Housekeeping Manager, Dr. Arogundade, Digital Sales Executive. Each of this senior management staff shared their feelings about the collaboration.
We're actually so excited about this partnership with SOUQ News. It's going to, be beneficial for both Federal Palace Hotel and SOUQ News. And we know that all our new offerings will be extended to the larger world. We are actually doing things differently now. Federal Palace is actually doing a lot of things differently now. Our staff are ready to give the best of the best services to our guests.
To cover our events and take care of Federal Palace in terms of media and all that.
The Femi Walsh Group, consisting of all the different subsidiaries like Souqnews TV, the ALFM, Novacraft, and the Machinery, look forward to doing great things with Federal Palace Hotel as we kick off the Prestige Partnership.
We're going places, and yes, with Femi Walsh Prestige Partnership, what we want to do is make sure that we're giving the clients of Federal Palace the best of the best of the very best in terms of coverage, streaming, videography, photography. So if you have a wedding ceremony coming up, you got the birthday party coming up, whatever you have coming up, all you gotta do is make sure you contact Femi Walsh, because we give you the best of the best of the very, very best.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup.
Keep watching.
My name is Uyai. I'm a textured artist, and keep watching SOUQ News.
My name is Alexander Beja, and keep watching SOUQ News.
Karim Joseph Aramide is my name. I'm a visual artist, and I'm going to tell you this: keep watching SOUQ.
Hello, I'm Billy Macaulay Oguchi of Federal Palace Hotel. I'm the banqueting and events manager. Keep watching SOUQ News.
I'm Temitope Ifidon, HR manager of Federal Palace Hotel. Keep watching SOUQ News.
Thank you, guys.
Federal Palace.
See you soon.
The Eyo Festival, also known as the Adamu Orisha, is a traditional Yoruba festival unique to Lagos Island in Lagos State, the center of excellence. It is one of the most iconic cultural events in Lagos and serves as both a spiritual ceremony and a public spectacle. Eyo dates back to the 19th century, though original traditions suggest its origin may be older. It began as a rite of passage for the transition of a deceased Oba or High Chief in Lagos. In today's special report, Bayo Olaoye traces the antecedent and the genesis of this renowned cultural event. The first recorded Eyo Festival was held in 1854 to commemorate the passing of Oba Akintoye. Over time, it also became a celebration for the installation of a new Oba or to honor prominent Lagosians. The Eyo Festival is rooted in Yoruba religion and spiritual practices, specifically those of the Orisha cult. It is particularly associated with the Adamu Orisha, a deity representing ancestors and spiritual guardians. The Eyo Festival is essentially a masquerade festival. The masqueraders are called Eyo, and each represents a spirit of the ancestors. These Eyo figures are customized in flowing white robes with large hats and face coverings. They carry opas, known as batons or staff, used to generally discipline those who break festival rules. The Eyo Festival can also be described as a spiritual cleansing of the land and people and used to escort the soul of a deceased noble into the afterlife. It invokes blessings and peace for the community, purges the city of evil spirit and misfortunes. The festival is organized by 5 major Eyo groups or Igas, also known as palaces, each with its own color and significance. Eyo Adimu, black, is housed in Iga Adimu. Eyo Laba, which is recognized by its red color, has Iga Idungoron as its palace, while Eyo Oniko, renowned for its yellow color, stays at Iga Oniko. Iga Ologede, with its green color, will reside at Iga Ologede, and Eyo Agere, with its purple color, stays at Iga Agere. The main day of the festival is called Oye Day, which falls on Saturday. Prior to this, there are several rituals leading to the Akoko Day, where announcements are made and various traditional rites are performed. What are the rules, regulations, and etiquettes? During the festival, what are the do's and don'ts? During the festival, certain items and behaviors are prohibited, such as wearing of sandals and shoes, since everyone goes barefoot during this period. Also prohibited is the use of motorcycles and bicycles, while public smoking is not allowed, as well as the wearing of hats and caps. Violators are often corrected gently with the okpa by the Eyo. What about the modern evolution of Eyo Festival as a potential for tourism development? While originally a sacred rite, the Eyo Festival has become a major cultural attraction, prominently showcased during Nigeria's independence celebration in 1960, and in subsequent years, it has been used to honor dignitaries and promote the heritage of Lagos. It does not occur annually, but rather on special occasions, often at the discretion of the Lagos monarch or Bar of Lagos as the custodian of the tradition. The festival combines ritual, theater, music, and community spectacle, and it is often considered a precursor to the modern Nigerian carnival. The Eyo Festival has inspired modern performances and literature in Nigeria and reflects the depth of Yoruba spirituality, the importance of ancestors, and the interplay between tradition and modernity. Olumide Shokoya reporting for Souqnews TV.
As the world navigates constant change and competing voices, the call for purposeful leadership rings louder. The Scalable Leadership Summit 2025, hosted on the Leadership Channel Consulting platform, wasn't just another conference. It was a clarion call to leaders, seasoned and emerging, to abandon short-lived titles and build the kind of leadership that endures storms, spans generations, and reshapes nations. In a compelling convergence of Africa's top-level thought leaders, entrepreneurs, and organizational trailblazers, the summit issued a bold call for enduring, values-driven leadership. Under the theme, Lead Beyond Limits, Build What Lasts, the convener, Wale Adekola, emphasized that this event is not for applause. It was engineered for lasting impact.
We're talking about leaders who are going to represent leadership, who are going to become leadership ambassadors. And that is why we are launching Scalable Niger today. So Scalable Niger for us is not just a slogan. It's something that we want to see happening in every community in Nigeria. Because today every participant is going to go home with three powerful frameworks. And for these frameworks, we have the first one is the Scalable Leadership Framework. The second one is Adapt. Adapt model is a sustainable change system that it can use to transform any system within the organization, of course, and across institutions in Nigeria, of course, and across Africa. So these are proven and tested frameworks that we have studied, we have applied, for the past 10 years. And now we want to see all these frameworks applied in Nigerian institutions and, of course, organizations.
The summit delivered a rich blend of keynote insights and fire chat dialogues, featuring voices like Adeyemi Olayiwole, Niyi Adesanya, Tara Fela Durotoye, Honorable Adewumi Adeyemi, Professor Abraham Oshinobi, and Dr. Smith Bam, among others. The experience was further deepened by stirring spoken words, performances, and inspirational music, not merely to share leadership principles, but to ignite a deeper commitment to legacy-driven leadership in a world that is constantly evolving. Kicking off the summit was leadership strategist and keynote speaker Odeyemi Olayiwole, who emphasized the power of learning from experience. His message challenged attendees to go beyond information and seek transformation through mentorship, experience sharing, and tested wisdom.
The cheapest way to succeed in anything is to learn from someone who has succeeded in that thing. Not someone that knows about the thing alone, but someone who has been able to acquire the information and translate it to application and have results to show. And so that's why many years, in 1996, when I knew that my assignment was in the leadership space, one of the first questions I asked is, who is doing what I want to do? And who is the best at what I do? Every year I pick 3 case studies: a country, a company, and a corporate leader, every single year. And I dissect them to find out what is the secret, because success needs clues. The secret of men are in their stories. So one of the cheapest ways to succeed at anything is to find out who has succeeded at what I want to start.
Renowned beauty entrepreneur Tara Fela-Durotoye, in her keynote session and during a fire chat with a convener, shared lessons from her leadership journey in building the House of Tara brand, from humble beginnings to a systemized enterprise. She spoke on navigating growth, people development, and succession planning.
What is it that I do that delivers the same outcome? What is it that makes my customers buy every time? Write it down, because you have now found a framework. Then you amplify and multiply that framework, so that every time you meet a House of Tara person, there is something about them that reminds you of the person you met in Lekki. Why? Because we have created a culture. The policies are designed to protect you, not just the company. If you don't remember anything else that I said and you are an employee here, hold the policies and embrace them in your chest. Know them by heart. If anybody says anything, you just have to look at the policies say. And all founders, if you don't have policies, what you are basically saying is that you allow your people to do anything.
From academia, Professor Oshinobi of Lagos Business School brought a compelling perspective on national transformation governance, innovation, and faith-based leadership.
The Nigerian paradox: we are rich in resources, yet poor in trust. True of us, bursting with talent, yet starved of opportunity. A land of faith, yet a desert. Governance is the structural foundation that enables accountability, transparency, and the rule of law. But the crisis is this: 83% of Nigerians is strong public institution. True or true? That is the basis of our problem in this country. Trust deficits.
The summit was not all talk. It was also artfully immersive, as Esosia Wilson rendered soul-lifting inspirational songs, creating moments of reflection between sessions. In an interview with Souqnews TV, the convener emphasized the summit's depth, that it is a leadership movement committed to shaping a new breed of leaders. Participants shared their reflections, describing the summit as a catalytic experience that confronted, challenged, and compelled.
Leadership is not just a day thing, it's a daily thing. We want them to recognize 3 types of patterns. So we have encouraged them to study pattern. Number 1, pattern recognition. Number 2, pattern usage, how they can use the pattern that they're going to learn today. And number 3 is pattern creation. How can they create new patterns that they can apply in their own organization, something that is unique for them from the patterns they've recognized that they can use and also apply in their organization through wisdom.
Some people just wish to scale, but you need to be able to have a system that enables you to scale. So that's basically what I think the frameworks will do. And then from each of the speakers, so they are all coming from different, some are from the academia, the business world, which I believe that convergence will actually help to give a better knowledge and sensitization about what true scalability in business and in leadership basically is.
The second session talked about the need for leaders to appreciate their team members, and it was quite emotional when we saw 2 or 3 people shed tears of joy when they got messages from their team leaders. So for us as team leaders, we need to be very deliberate. And even the case study we did, Deep Sea, it talks about the need for us to be very deliberate. We need to know our team members. We need to know what's happening with them, and we need to leverage their strengths.
Everything rises and falls on leadership. If the leader gets it right, it trickles down to those at the middle level, at the lower level. So it's important to get it right from the root so that the fruits are good. I do a lot of case studies. So you study what has worked, what has not worked. Through my research, preparing for this summit, I discovered that we're talking about starting, scaling, and sustaining businesses. So let's study systems that have worked for up to 1,000 years and more. And I found out that they are driven around community, which is people. Everything should be about people. Listen to them, love them, then you can lead them more effectively. And when people's hearts are touched, they work better with their hands, with their head, and with their feet.
Because I work with people, I understand how powerful people can be, and the biggest asset any organization has is not infrastructure, it's its people. And if you understand that your people are your assets, you will invest in your people. But if you don't understand it, if you don't share that philosophy, you're going to abuse your people, you're going to misuse your people. So for me, it's something I've been living for 20 years, and so it's just natural.
You need to love the people you want to lead by having what we call the emotional intelligence, social intelligence. Both go hand in hand, and you need them for leadership. And lastly, for leadership is also about listening. For you to influence one, you need to listen to your environment in order to act accordingly.
We have looked at how to scale our leadership potential, and also sustain it. It's not enough to just start, but we will start, we will scale, and then we'll sustain it. It's something that should be a legacy, something that should live beyond us. Right now, we are talking about impact, the impact that the structures and the systems that we are putting in place will have on our society, on our community. So leadership is beyond just us. It's about impact, it's about sustainability, and it's about the value that we are creating for our society.
To a large extent, I try to tell people that you can be anything you want to be, because you've been placed here to lead, you've been placed here to be at the forefront. And for you to be at the forefront, that means you need to understand what leadership means. And that's the message I pass out. I see myself being able to influence the world with my music, and also show people that they have the ability to believe they can be anything they want to be.
My workers are waiting patiently to see me coming, because I have a lot to impact on them about the personal growth, the business growth, and everything as well. Everybody needs this, especially if you're an entrepreneur. You don't need to miss out this kind of program. You need to connect. No matter the money you spend here, it's worth it.
With resounding voices across academia, enterprise, ministry, and the creative arts, the message was unified. Leadership that scales must be intentional, people-focused, and purpose-driven. Grace Komolafe, Souqnews TV. The world is trying, but trying isn't enough. Nearly every nation backs the SDG, yet half the world can't afford to deliver them. Countries are on board, progress is visible, but with 83% of the targets off the track. Why is it so? The answer isn't just about policies. It's about power, money, and global priorities. As 2030 draws near, the world faces critical moments in the journey towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, with challenges and opportunities unfolding across every region. The 2025 Sustainable Development Report, released by independent experts at the SDG Transformation Center, reveals a mixed global picture. While momentum remains strong, progress is uneven, and time is running out. A decade after the adoption of Agenda 2030, 190 out of 193 UN member states have submitted national reviews detailing their commitment to the SDGs. But despite the enthusiasm, only 17% of the global targets are currently on track to be achieved. East and South Asia remains at the forefront of progress, while countries like Benin, Nepal, Costa Rica, the UAE and Saudi Arabia already made significant gains within their regions. Finland leads globally, topping the SDG index once again. In contrast, the report highlights troubling disparities. Barbados ranks first in support for UN-based multilateralism, while United States ranks last, following its recent withdrawal from both the Paris Climate Agreement and the World Health Organization. From many developing nations, the major hurdle is clear: lack of fiscal space. With half of the world population living in debt-constrained economies, the ability to invest in health, education, clean energy, and infrastructure is limited. Yet, there is hope. The report put forth that sustainable development offers high returns, especially in emerging markets. It calls for a total overhaul of the global financial architecture, urging the global community to channel capital towards the countries that need it most and where it can do the most good. The June-July 2025 fourth edition of the International Conference on Financing for Development in Seville, Spain, stakes couldn't be higher.
Today we are meeting in Seville, in Spain, with representatives of 70 international organizations and 170 countries to bring humanity further from the horrors of the past.
The message is simple. If we are to meet the SDGs by 2030 and build a livable future beyond, financing must be bold, fair, and focused on people. Grace Komolafe, Souqnews TV.
At the heart of a strong currency lies a simple principle. The demand for local goods drives production, creates jobs, reduces reliance on imports, and ultimately stabilizes the exchange rate. Countries like Rwanda, South Africa, and Egypt have achieved remarkable success by investing in their own industries. Rwanda has built a textile industry that competes with foreign imports. South Africa has developed a powerful automobile sector, and Egypt has excelled in agribusiness exports. These nations have strengthened their currencies by prioritizing local production, consumption, and exports. Nigeria, with its vast resources, stands at the threshold of a similar transformation. When Nigerians buy locally made products, fewer dollars flow out of the country for imports, preserving foreign exchange reserves. As local industries become more competitive, they can also expand exports, particularly under the African Continental Free Trade Area, bringing in foreign exchange and strengthening the naira. In 2022, Nigeria spent over $9 billion on food imports. If just half of that had been directed towards locally made goods, it could have significantly reduced pressure on the naira. The key lies in industries with the potential to drive economic growth: agro-processing, textiles, automotive, technology, and leather goods. Nigeria is already a leader in agriculture, but to fully benefit, the country needs to move beyond exporting raw commodities to processed goods. Products like cashew nuts, shea butter, palm oil derivatives, and hibiscus flowers command higher prices internationally. Ghana earns about $2 billion annually from cocoa processing, while Nigeria's cocoa exports lag far behind. With investment in food processing plants and the branding of agricultural exports as premium African products, Nigeria can bridge this gap, reduce reliance on European imports, and tap into Africa's fast-growing middle class. The Nigerian fashion industry has also gained global recognition, but the country still imports billions of dollars in textiles. In 2021, Nigeria imported over $4 billion worth of textiles, while Ethiopia, using local cotton, earned $110 million from garment exports. By boosting local textile manufacturing and using Nigerian cotton, Nigeria could reclaim a significant share of the $15 billion African fashion industry, positioning cities like Lagos, Aba, and Kano as textile hubs. Nigeria's automobile sector also presents an opportunity. The country spends over $8 billion annually on vehicle imports. In contrast, South Africa's automotive sector contributes over $12 billion to its GDP and employs more than 100,000 people. By implementing policies that support local vehicle assembly and production, Nigeria can reduce import dependency, create jobs, and become the region's automobile hub. Nigeria's tech ecosystem, home to fintech giants like Flutterwave and Paystack, is already Africa's largest. If Nigerians prioritize homegrown software solutions, the country can reduce capital flight and strengthen its tech industry, making Nigeria a global player in technology. The leather industry, particularly in Kano, also holds significant potential. While Nigeria produces some of the finest leather in Africa, much of it is exported as raw material. If we focus on producing high-end leather goods like handbags, shoes, and belts, Nigeria can meet local demand and expand exports. Ethiopia's leather exports exceeded $133 million in 2022, while Nigeria's remained under $50 million. By branding and exporting premium leather products, Nigeria can become Africa's leather capital, boosting the naira through increased foreign exchange earnings. To strengthen the naira, Nigeria must prioritize investments in infrastructure, improve product standards, enhance branding, and implement policies that favor local manufacturers. Consumers must also consciously choose locally made products to create jobs and drive industrial growth. The success stories of Ghana, South Africa, and Ethiopia show that this strategy works. It is time for Nigeria to invest in and promote made in Nigeria goods, solidifying and strengthening the naira for a more self-sustaining and prosperous economy.
Well, you already know, my name is Steve Omojafor, and my middle name is Bamidele. That was the name that my parents gave me at birth, because it was like they regarded themselves as not Lagosians. It is Providence that brought them into Lagos, and I then happened to be born here at Odo Street in Obalende. And in fact, we didn't go to Mercy Hospital then. There was a little home along Odo Street run by a very experienced nurse. Mama Nurse, that's what So I was born in that little place and grew up from there. Like I said, my middle name is Bamidele. My parents probably said, well, we have had you here, but this is not home. As at that time, you will go home with us. No problem. So I started off as a materials Catholic primary school on Louis Street. And I was in St. Matthias from 1953 till 1960 when we finished with our primary school leaving certificate. Then from there, an extra year at Holy Cross School. We needed that extra, they call it prep class. Prepare yourself to go to the secondary school. And from Holy Cross, for 1 year, I moved on to St. Gregory's College, Lagos. Now, growing up in Lagos was one of the best things that happened to us then. Life was good, life was easy, life was safe, life was like everything that a young man could aspire to. We went to school with scholars bus, which was virtually provided for free. When scholars bus was not available, it was fun walking from Obalende, firstly to St. Matthias, and then from there to St. Gregory's College. Life was good, life was safe. You could go out any time of the day. You could play from house to house. Parents knew each other very well. And so, in fact, when you were late somewhere on your street or in your neighborhood, you could sleep there because they would send a message to your home that Dele is here, so don't bother. The next morning you wake up, have your bath, have breakfast, return to your home. There was this community life that we all lived. Parents could discipline children of their friends. Okay? Not like these days, you dare not touch any other child. The parents will come and, do a battle with you. That I didn't send my child to you to be flogged or to be beaten. So it was a very beautiful life. So went to St. Matthias, went to St. Gregory's College, and then from there to University of Lagos. We were our brothers' keepers. School was fun. Teachers were all there just to teach you. There was no messing around. There weren't any bad habits that people could be developing along the line, So that was my life growing up. So we were all walking through Balinde to Lafiaji, to Campus Square, to Tokumbo, Okekpokpo, So we were children of the neighborhood. We were children of the area. So I'm never ashamed to say I'm an area boy in Lafiaji. Today it has become a taboo, but then we were proud of our origin. We were proud of our place of birth, and we were proud growing up in the neighborhood. So today, still believe me, I get up on some Fridays, I just go to Lafiaji, I stay with the guys. Okay, not all of us were fortunate enough to go through the system. Okay, so those who, in quote, we left behind, we still, a lot of the time, we still talk to them. We still relate to them when there are problems that we could fix. We help out. Because, it wasn't their fortune to be able to have gone. I know some dropped out, on their own volition. But generally, we all like the idea of going to school. Some couldn't make it. But we still relate to them. We are still friends. So I'm not surprised I leave Holy Cross Cathedral and I just hear people call me my names. And I know these people are those who knew me when we were growing up. Let me start by saying that even at secondary school, I read a lot. I was interested in the newspapers, and a lot of the time I read something, there was always this beautiful column of letters to the editor. So anything that I read that I liked, I sit down, 2-3 paragraphs letter to the editor to compliment what they've done, to criticize what I didn't like, and these things were published, and I liked it. Okay, you open the papers and you just see, contributed by Steve Omojafor, or some will call me Bamidele Omojafor. So that kept me getting interested in the media. So when I left secondary school, after higher school, I would just pay a visit to Daily Times, which was in Tinubu, Kakawa Street. I just pay a visit there, and I got talking to people. They would take me to the newsroom, they'll just show me how newspapers are produced and all that. That ignited my interest. So when I left higher school, mass communication was what occurred to me. I know that my uncle, you are not doing accountancy, you are not doing engineering, you're not doing medicine, you want to go and become a newspaper boy. I said, yes, this is where my interests lie. So I got admitted to Lagos University. I studied mass communication there. And while I was there, I developed a column in Lagos Weekend of those days. Every Friday I was contributing. And I was writing under the name of Akinbodilon. Now, Akinbodilon itself is a name that I picked up in a drama group. Because we had a drama group that we produced all kinds of little plays here and there at J.K. Randu Hall, So one of the roles I played was Akinbodilon. So when I started writing my columns in Daily Times and Lagos Weekend, I just used that pen name, Akinbodilon. So I did the program and I started writing for Daily Times campus news, things that happened during elections, battle between the male and female, problems with the tutors and everything. So it became a very regular program. In fact, I inherited the program from late Golabo Ogusawo, who was my boss in the Daily Times. So I did that program for 3 years. It became very popular. It got to a point, Vice Chancellor would call me to say, there's a little thing going on in the university. I hope you have covered it for your paper. And I said, I'm not even employed there. I'm just writing, So I left the University of Lagos, had all kinds of jobs that one could do. But I headed for Daily Times because I just had developed a path for myself, and that is journalism. Okay. So while in the Daily Times, worked with the Lagos Weekend, went to Daily Times proper and worked there. I was a columnist, I was a sub-editor, and also a reporter. Combined everything. So that was where my interest grew and grew, and it was very painful when I had to leave the Daily Times organization. And what did I go to? Linters advertising. When I walked into Linters, and I said to the chairman managing director, and I said, I want a job. I said, just like that? I said, yes, sir. Then it was easy to communicate with people. We're not too many, so they listen to you. So he said, what are you doing now? I said, I'm a sub-editor. at the Daily Times. So why are you coming to advertising? I want to broaden my space. I want to broaden my experiences. It took about 3 months, and I got a job in Linters. And I remember Alhaji Babatunde Joseph, when I was going to leave, said, "Look, Steve, where are you going?" I said, "I'm going to Linters." I said, "Well, we do the same thing. They package programs commercially. Here we do our papers and we go sell, you know." So I said, "Okay, sir, let me just go gather some experience at Linters." And Linters and Daily Times were just 5 minutes walk from each other. And I said, "Sir, if the editor needs me for anything, trust me, I will spend my time and money, do write-ups for Daily Times." So I was like working in advertising and still writing for the Daily Times. You know. So that was my life. From Linters, we set up our own company known as Roosevelt Advertising Limited. And Roosevelt, was formed by 3 partners, you know, two friends of mine. 3 of us were at Lagos University at the same mass comm department. So we came out, and I left Daily Times to set up Roosevelt. One of my partners left Cadbury to join us, and Akodusi left Admark, another advertising company. So 3 of us came together and we set up Roosevelt. We call ourselves second generation agencies, because before then we were the Ogilvy, the Linters, Grant Advertising, and so on. So we set up a small shop in Surrey, and it grew beyond our own imagination. From Roosevelt, we set up a second line agency called McCann, STB McCann. Got affiliated to a company in America, McCann Erickson. So that was how it all went on. Now, I didn't do banking, and I didn't work as a banker. The interesting story is that one day, while still at Roosevelt, STB McCann then, I got a phone call from somebody I've never met before. And I picked up the call. He said, "My name is ABC, blah, blah, blah." And he said, the managing director of Zenith Bank wants to talk to me. So I said, "Look, there's no problem. I know I'm not owing any bank and all that." He said, "No, he just wants to talk to you." So he picked up the line and said, "My name is this. And I said, "My name is this." He said, "Can we meet?" So I said, "She, no problem." He said, "No." So we agreed to meet. And it got to be that he wanted to appoint a couple of directors for the bank before they went public. And what I said to him was, "I'm not a banker. I didn't study finance or economics." He said, "No. What I want from you is your name and your integrity. Nothing beyond that." That was the beginning of the story. So I got onto the board, and I learned a lot. You know, I'm somebody who doesn't get to a place and I want to show them what I know or what I don't know. You could make a fool of yourself sometimes. So for me, like the first 6 months or 1 year, was just go to the meeting, listen to them, know where they are coming from, know what the focus is, and know what the expectations are. So I picked it up from there. Gradually, I got into the system. Of course, naturally, buy some books on banking, finance, just read, you know, so at least you know how the banks operate. I've always been a customer of the banks. It is very small scale. And all I did was follow the banking trend. There weren't too many banks in Nigeria at that point in time, but I followed through, and that was it. I got onto the board, and somewhere along the line, there was the policy of the central bank. The managing director had to step aside, so to say. The chairman had overspent some time regulated by the CBN, and they approached me and said, "You are going to become, at the board, you're going to become the chairman of the board." I said, "Me?" And they said, "Yes. I've met a lot of people here, so why me?" Anyway, to cut the short story long, I was eventually made the chairman of Zenith Bank. And I was there, I was chairman for 4 years. And then CBN rules changed again. The MD came back, and I was very happy to hand over the bank to him. And I said I was going to leave when he came back. He said no. Statutorily, as he had 2 more years on the board, that no, you got to stay and live out your time. And then, so I did. And after 12 years, I eventually bowed out from the bank and returned full time to my own job, which I've been known for, and that is the media world. Okay, so I get invited for interviews, for programs here and there. Like you said, it's always a good thing. You have something you have learned over the years, you want to impact it on the younger ones, who are coming. I mean, my first son, for instance, went through the media scene, now in advertising, and I go on encouraging them. I retired from active day-to-day operations about almost 15 years ago. But I'm still keeping pace with what is going on around me. Yeah, I mean, the society itself is very dynamic. There's been a lot of changes over time. I mean, I look back to during my own time in the newspaper world, and I can count just about 4 or 5 newspapers then. Okay, Morning Post, Daily Times, The Express, and a couple of others. So we knew each other. We knew the practice, we exchanged news information, we exchanged, if you had a news that was breaking, you want to call up colleagues from other papers, we all go there as a team, right? Because stories will be written from different angles, no matter what you do, So, newspaper was great. And it was so good. In the morning, your byline was there, and people were trying to reach you, about the quality. Quality was good. Quality was good. And there wasn't too much of freelancing in those days, the newspaper world. So you were either fully employed or you didn't belong. Same thing for radio. For instance, television I didn't do much about. While in journalism and in newspaper world, I was writing for radio, okay? Interesting stories. I had, there was a name to this program, the Oddities, Odd World. So you were picking up things that were odd. People that didn't imagine what they were. It's not something that was very common. So we went on doing that. So newspapers were growing. Radio was growing, television was growing, and out-of-home media was also growing. And talk about the dynamism of the system. Suddenly, people were now going out of buying a newspaper every day to sit down and hold it in front of you, trying to read from beginning, from cover to cover. Other forms of communication came on. With the advent of mobile phones, things began to change. In our own time, it was the phone you put on the desk and you were dialing it, a lot of the time you could never get across, okay? Suddenly, mobile phone came onto the scene. And news coverage was transformed completely from what it used to be. Okay? So now people on their phone could reach out, you could touch Germany, touch America, touch all parts of Europe, just sitting down in your office to gather information, gather news, what is new, And then, of course, we now had more television stations, no longer NTA alone, okay? Now, with the news stations, things were just expanding. Things were broadening up, and news gathering became something new altogether, and everybody was heading for a new phenomenon altogether. So today, you don't have to be a big guy to be able to tell your stories. Little children tell their stories, females tell their stories, So really we have moved from the days of waiting to read your newspaper to gather your news. Now, with your phone on your palm, you could do wonders all over. But of course, standard also, in some areas, standard will improve. In some areas, standards will go down. Because the multiplicity of media sources create problems. The kind of quality control we used to have in those days was disappearing. And people can build up stories without even being there to know if it is factual or not. So of course, the turmoil that we are going through in the media space now is better imagined. But I still believe that for those who have structures like the one you are building up now, will enable people to know that you've got to check, you've got to cross-check, okay? We have laws that control what we say, what you do, what you publish. Of course, they are not as rigid as they should be, So, in terms of content these days, you have to ensure that you check your facts before you can believe, what they are saying or make any sense out of them. So really it has become all commerce affair. And this is not going to be the end. The explosion is going to continue. Maybe in a few years to come, we're going to have a stronger media control than what we have now. People are building content. You go on YouTube, you go on all kinds of media, and you are getting all kinds. What you hear from your WhatsApp is different from what you're going to get in your YouTube. You go to Instagram. People are selling themselves with all kinds of stories. So really, for me, we've gone through the era of sanity. Yeah? And I hate to say, we've gone into the era where anything you can think of, say it, write it, do it. And for the consumers, it's like you either take it or you leave it. But it's good that we can now reach out much, much widely. Thanks to our mobile news. You talk to people in any village in Nigeria, and suddenly one thing that didn't grab us so early was you open up your Google map, and you don't have to stop people on the street anymore. Show me where I'm going. Just go to the app, and it leads you to the front of the house you are going to. So we have a lot of improvements, and I think it's going to be improving some more. All we just need to watch is to ensure that we remain truthful and we remain factual, so that we don't mislead people on the street, particularly people in the rural areas. One day you just see everybody running helter-skelter because somebody posted the news that is not correct. So we need to watch that and put some more control. But I like the growth in the media space. Let's get back. When I got into the banking sector, I saw myself more as a customer than a board member. I haven't been a journalist, which I still am. I wrote so much about what consumers or customers were going through in the banks. It was the period of tally number, Remember this commercial, where somebody carried a mat. I said, what are you carrying a mat in the bag? And I want to lay down here because I know before I get my money, I will have slept once or twice and woken up, So I was very consumer oriented. When I got into the banking system, a couple of times my board members will ask me, are you on the board or you are still a customer? I said, first and foremost, I want to remain a customer of the bank who will come into the bank and get properly served, who will come into the bank and feel like human, who will come into the bank feel important, because it's your money in the bank. Even if it's only 1,000 naira, it's your money. You need to be treated with some dignity and respect. And that was my mentality that I took into the board of the bank. I said, listen, I am not too happy the way customers are treated. It is their money, no matter how small. Treat them with respect, treat them with dignity. So they started listening to me after some time. And I said, look, customer service is extremely important. In those good old days, you will hardly hear about customer service in any of the major banks. It wasn't there. But gradually, people started being important. It was more of retail. You can deal with the big corporate organizations, but at the same time, it is these poor students, poor market women, people who are out there on the street laboring hard to bring their money. So that was one area I was extremely happy that we developed that area of retail banking and being able to make the consumer the king. Okay? So that was part of it. Then, of course, I said to the bank, I said to them, fine, it is very good to make huge profits. Okay? But at the same time, the customers that come in here and from their money we make our profits, let us also consider the kind of interest they get from their deposits. Today, when the banks take your money to deposit, okay? No. When you go to the bank and say, I need assistance, I need a loan. And you tell them, give them all the facts and figures. Okay. They will tell you, you are going to pay interest of 20%, 23%, blah, 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 blah. When they take your money to put in the bank, they give you an interest of 2%, 3%, 4%. And I just couldn't live with it. I mean, if you are giving me a loan, you're charging me so high. When I put my money there, it's also a loan to you. Why will you leave me with 2 or 3%? And I thought the system wasn't quite right. It was too skewed towards the bank than the customer. So I met a lot of pushbacks, in that area. And I must just say, it's an area I think government should still be interested in. In the civilized world, interest rate hovers between 3%, 5%. In Nigeria, it goes as far as. Maybe in Africa, not just Nigeria. I know we are developing, but at the same time, let's develop together. For both those that we are taking in their money and for those we are giving money to. So there be some level of balance. So I really worked hard in that area. I may not have fully succeeded. Then I think finally, one other thing that I think I was able to do at the bank is our staff also requires some upliftment. And suddenly, banks started, employing senior people. They started moving people up. They look more at the system now than just ownership. So generally, of course, more banks have come into the scene. A lot of new banks. So people can spread out and salaries started going up for bankers and all that. But of course, requirements were also extremely high. So generally, I think today we have a much stronger banking system and we are still growing. Now, the banks for a long time have been let loose to do whatever they want to do at the disadvantage of customers, like I started off with. Now, our leaders, and when I say leaders, let me point on just our presidents. The system was such that our presidents could do anything they like with the banks. It was almost an extension of the State House. You just pick up your bell and you ring and the governor of Central Bank will come shaking because you had the power, bring him in and fire him. So he had to respect everything that the president wants. And it's wrong. This time around, I can say, even in some parts of Africa, you couldn't run the central bank the way we ran it here. All the CBN governors wanted to do, please the president, and you are free to do whatever you want to do. And it's wrong. It's wrong. Take even Britain here. Have you ever heard this kind of relationship between the Prime Minister of England and the CBN? No. Everybody has his mandate. In places, in climes like that, the president doesn't call up the central bank governor, go and do this, go and do that. Exchange rate should be done. Change your policy to be done. I mean, that's part of the problem we've had in this country. So the last government and their CBN just ran this country to their whims and caprices. You leave your monetary policy. In fact, you were running both monetary and fiscal at the same time. You took the Minister for Finance, for instance, and you have no dealings with him or her. You ran their own programs for them, and you did things that they should do, but they couldn't query you because the president, had your back. So a lot of things went wrong, and the result is now here for all of us to see. So look at the changing of our redesign, what they call redesigning of the currency. Now we know there are so many ways you should have done it, but we put politics and added it into our financial and monetary policies. We wanted to do it specifically to change the course of history. So today, we now know what's happening at the central bank. In fact, if the true story of what went on in the last 8 years was told, I don't know what will be left of this country. You had this little thing in the Constitution that said the government can borrow from the CBN within certain limits. They call it ways and means. But no. And there was a percentage tied to it. You can't do more than 5%. And by the time you're asking for the new one, you should have paid up. We went on piling up. It's like just go and print the money. What Idi Amin used to do in Uganda in those days. That's the kind of situation we found ourselves. Very regrettable. But I believe some sanity will now come into this space. The new central bank has at least outlined its policies. It has also said, let me keep to my monetary policy, which is my area, and leave the paperwork and how they want to run it. People who deal with the fiscal area. So we want to change. We think things should change. Now, before now, we borrowed and borrowed without thinking about how are we going to pay? Who are we leaving this debt for? Now we know it's for you and me to still do our work, put in as much money as we can, no matter how little, into the bank, and revive the banking industry. Okay, so the CBN has its own role, and my prayer and my wish is that they will keep their own part of the bargain, leave other people. The Minister for Finance has said it that much. We should. We all know, simple economics. You don't borrow money to pay your debt. You borrow money for production. You borrow money to fix things like your oil maintenance and all that. Where our money should be coming from. That's what you borrow money for. You don't borrow money for wastages. You don't borrow money to satisfy your whims and caprices. You don't borrow money to just go out there and waste it. Now, you borrow money to pay back your debt. at the end of the day, we are back lower than where we started off from. So really, my appeal to both the president and his cabinet, particularly those that do with finance, give them some room. You put them there because you think they know what they're supposed to do. Give them the space. If it goes breathing down their neck, at some point, it will just be, president said so, president said, even things that the president did not say, president said so, and it's got to be done. And we are running a country, even when you run your home, you are able to sit down with your little income and plan. Every day we are being told, if you earn this much, use this little bit, keep the rest in the bank, because you never know about tomorrow. So that's where we found ourselves, and I believe that if everything goes right, we should see massive changes from what it was, the last 8 years. We need drastic changes in the system. My mom in Abalinde used to say to me, when I want to be lazy, he will make sure you do what she wants you to do. And he will remind you that hard work doesn't kill. It is laziness that turns you into an inconsequential human being with no sense of direction. We grew up learning hard work, both in school and out of school. I, for instance, hawked on the streets of Lagos with my mom. You leave St. Gregory's College, now not primary school, St. Gregory's College. You come back. My mother was a textile seller. Got it, probably went to Balogun, pick up. When I come back from school after my lunch, get a basket full of cloth, which I put on my head, and we go from street to street. My mother's carrying her tape rule and another measurement stick, and we'll go around Obalinde, Igoshere, Bamboshe, Oshoji, and we were selling. From there, she graduated to owning a shop in Balogun. When I leave school, I was her accountant, so to say, bookkeeper. All the things they sold and make, keep the records and everything. I helped her take the money to the bank. It was Barclays Bank, what was it called then? Yeah, Barclays Bank, before it became Union Bank in Balogun. So I've learned how to trade. I've learned how to make money. I've learned how to deal with customers. Plus that, I was also a bread seller. Somewhere along Strachan Street off Igoshere, there was a big bakery owned by the Lawson family. To be able to get enough bread, you got to get there between 5 and 6 in the morning. Okay? So let me cut it short. We learned to work hard. And that working hard continued with us up till where we are today. We also were very straight-minded in terms of what we wanted to be. We played pranks, so we went out to play football, we went out to, to play with the girls and everything. But at the end of the day, you returned home. And our parents didn't spare the rod. They didn't. You came back later than expected to. They would lie you on the floor and dealt with you. So the combination of the kind of upbringing and the kind of training we went through home probably kept us where we are. And like I said to you before we started the interview, you knew that if you finish your primary school, secondary school is the next thing. If you finish secondary school, you don't know what you were going reading for. Not until probably when you got to the university, did it occur to you, okay, I got to choose a profession. But all along, we just did it because that was what the system and environment asked for. So, secret of success, hard work, hard work, hard work. No. I had a father who was very finicky about appearance. When I lived on Igbo Road, our church was on Louis Street, so to say, walking distance. He taught me how to wear full agbada right from primary school, secondary school. I mean, today, you just wear buba and shokoto, you go to church. Never was that happening. It's got to be full. Right. Then from there, by the time you got into, I mean, my father died while I was in university. Before then, he was always having this very thin bow tie, not this bigger one, bigger sizes now. Thin, you know, even when his dress is khaki and khaki, he still had it on. So I admired him, but initially I was on my long tie, up till a point, and I look back at some photographs we took when we were in the secondary school, and I thought, no, let me go back to those old days. Some people tell me it makes you look old. I said, I don't mind, you know, but these days I have just acquired that fashion taste, you know, which has suddenly become my, what do you call it? Become what I'm known with. And I enjoy it. And I encourage people, once in a while, put on your bow tie. It makes you look good, makes you look impressionable, it makes you look a serious person, and it makes people take a second look at you. I think, number one, parents started sparing the rod. Call it civilization, call it growing up and all that. Parents started sparing the rod because they always whipped us to shape. You knew what was expected of you, and you did it. Because if you didn't do it, your punishment is waiting for you. But as we grew up, I mean, you probably will ask me today, do I use the rod for my children, for instance? And the answer is no. And why it is no is that these days the children look up to you. They are more exposed than what we were. More exposed. They know what daddy does. If you show them a bad example, they will repeat that bad example. If they know that when daddy wakes up in the morning, before he goes anywhere, he needs time to say his prayers. They too unconsciously will copy you. If they know that when dad goes out, he comes back certain time. He doesn't come in at 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Subconsciously, they too will know there's something that this old man sees that doesn't make him go out all night. So they copy from us. But then, like people say, I don't know how correct it is, that these days people are so busy looking for money. They all over the place. They abandon the home to nannies and housemates and all that, and the children a lot of the time are on their own. But people like you and I, for instance, probably had housemates in the house. You see, but the work that the housemaid does, we were also made to do it. Right? Washing our plates, staying in the kitchen to see how things are prepared. They took us through it, even if you didn't have to do it yourself. And that's why you and I are what we are today. But for the modern young families, most if there's some money to back it up, no, the children don't touch a lot of housework in the homes. They can go out by the time they like. They can wear, I mean, you see some little young girls and what they wear. In fact, even to the church, you want to ask yourself, where did their parents go to see what the children are wearing? Normally the female. Even the guys wearing what things they don't use the belt, the trouser would just be somewhere on their hips and all that. Yeah, I mean, we want them to express themselves, but within control. So, wrapping up on that, I'm going to say, yes, we grew up under stronger control. Today's parents are so much in love with their children. They don't want to make them unhappy. You don't want to, pick up a stick and hit them. But I don't quarrel with that. But please be there for them when they need you. And don't be scared to talk to your parents. To talk to your children. No, we should never be scared to talk to them. Because they are not going to take us over. They are our children. So what you don't want them to do, communication, extremely important. Talk to them. Let them, because peer pressure is extremely strong out there. They're mixing with so many guys from much even richer homes who have more to spoil their children with. Now you are a moderate family, your moderate children have to mix and relate and go out with guys with stronger economic background. There is, there is some disconnect there. Let's bring our children closer. Let's talk to them. A lot of parents don't talk to their children, and it's not right, because the more you talk to them, the more they have that empathy for you. They know you care for them. They know, because you have been moderately successful, for instance, they too want to be successful like you are, and all you are saying to them, follow my footsteps and you may not go wrong. And don't make wealth, money, the thing that should govern your homes. Don't spoil the children. Give them adequately what we all need to survive, and they will survive. In those days, while all you needed to take to school was 1 shilling. Okay, you still see children from rich homes who came with £1 and stuff like that. But let's be contented. Let's teach the children to be contented with what we have. Families are growing, society is expanding, and we can reach out to any part of the world. Now, we need to bring them closer to the home. At least up till the time that they are leaving you to go and start up there. But as long as it's still within your influence, it's very important that children and their families come much, much stronger together. I'm going to start with sports. I was an avid squash player. Okay, back in school, a bit of football, a bit of tennis, and all that. But when I started growing up seriously, I loved squash. And I played squash until I was over 50. Okay, and the doctor said, slow down on squash. So today, I do my swimming. Okay, I still do my swimming 2-3 times a week. Okay, and then of course I walk. There's this thing that keeps on saying, I mean, if all you can do is walk for 30-40 minutes a day, okay, and then of course I'm an avid fan of football up to today. I wish we could develop a local league so that I could slow down on my European Premier League sessions. So I love football and I love lawn tennis up to now. Now, favorite color, subdued. Okay, hot colors frighten me. Okay. And if you have to do it, just make it minimal. When I pick my dress, for instance, you got to know you want the kind of shirt you want to wear to match the color of the tie you want to use, to match the color of your suit, so it doesn't run riot. So it's extremely important. And I say to my friend, just Google it. What color matches this and what color matches that? So you don't become like a Christmas tree on the road. That was the third one, food. I grew up enjoying my eba and amala. Growing up from Obalinde, okay? So I do my eba, I do my amala. Rice occasionally. But then these days, from age 70 upwards, the doctors are screaming, watch what you eat, what the quantity you eat. So my wife draws up a weekly timetable. Monday is this, Tuesday is that, Wednesday is that, and she manages to mix up a slightly heavy one and a slightly lighter one so that you have a good mix. With age, you cut down on a lot of things. Cut down on your booze, cut down on your champagne, you cut down on your wine, you cut down on your salt. In fact, it's like they're punishing us. But then they say that is the way to go, to be able to at least live longer and enjoy more of life.
In the heart of West Africa, where the Atlantic Ocean meets vibrant coastlines and cultural richness, lies a country that has long served as a bridge between tradition and modernity. Welcome to the Republic of Senegal. From its diverse languages to distinct cuisines and colorful attire, Senegal mirrors the broader identity of West Africa, a region shaped by history, resilience, and remarkable diversity. But among its neighbors, Senegal stands apart in a unique way. Since gaining independence from France in 1960, it has never experienced a military coup, a rarity in the region and a testament to its stable democratic legacy. Its capital, Dakar, hugs the coastline and is home to nearly a third of the country's population, around 5 million people. Though over 90% of Senegalese identify as Muslim, the nation's first president, Léopold Sédar Senghor, was a Catholic, a poet and philosopher. Senghor played a pivotal role in post-colonial West Africa, founding the Federal Assembly after France's withdrawal. French remains the official language, a legacy of colonization, but it's Wolof, the voice of the streets, that rings loudest in the markets, homes, and music of Senegal. Economically, Senegal thrives on two pillars: peanuts and fish, with nearly 40% of its arable land dedicated to peanut cultivation and a strategic coastal location fueling a robust fishing industry. Agriculture and maritime life shape much of its economy and daily rhythms. Senegal's culinary culture is just as iconic, from fiebondien, the beloved rice and fish dish, to the zesty yassa of marinated chicken or fish flavor, tells a story. And in between meals, locals sip on national drinks made from natural sources like boye, the sweet nectar from the baobab fruit. Wander the streets and you will likely spot sheep and goats roaming freely, not as strays, but as symbols. During the Muslim festival at Tabaski, male sheep are offered as spiritual sacrifices, a deeply rooted tradition tied in faith and family. While football reigns across the continent in Senegal, a traditional form of wrestling called lamb shares the spotlight and sometimes steals it. Considered a national sport, lamb draws crowds of over 70,000 during major bouts, with a mix of athleticism, rituals, and roaring support from devoted fans. But Senegal's legacy runs deeper than sport or tradition. It is home to some of Africa's most symbolic landmarks. The Great Mosque of Touba, the largest in Africa, towers over the faithful. The Africa Renaissance Monument in Dakar stands at 49 meters high, Africa's tallest statue. And on Gorée Island, history echoes through the door of no return, the final passage for enslaved Africans during the transatlantic slave trade. Senegal is proudly home to 7 UNESCO World Heritage Sites. From Goré's sorrowful legacy to the rich biodiversity of Djoudj Bird Sanctuary and Niokolo Koba National Park, from the colonial charm of St. Louis Island to the cultural landscapes of Bassari Country, and from the unique Salom Delta to the Asian